Hello, friends. Katie here, and welcome back to Abundantly Aware. I am so happy that you're here. Okay, if you can see from the title of this episode, we're going to talk about what journaling is. Because I was on a networking call a few weeks ago, and no, probably a few months ago, let's be honest. And I was asked the question, what is journaling? And to say I was caught off guard was an understatement. I thought everybody knew. Joke's on me, right? So I'd like to take this opportunity to tell you what journaling is for me, what to expect from the beginning of your journaling journey, and what you need to get started. What even is journaling? If you think journaling means writing about your feelings every single day, I mean, you're not wrong, but I feel like you're missing out just a little bit. For me, the act of journaling is a dumping, a processing, and a discovery of thoughts, emotions, feelings, all of the above. The many dictionaries that I consulted with, to name a few, Webster, Oxford, and Cambridge, they all said around the same thing. However, they did also include daily journaling of activities and goals, which is why I feel like I need to tell you a little bit more about how I personally approach journaling, because I find that so many people on the internet see journaling as a part of goal setting or a part of their manifestation. And sure, it's true, but it's not always true for me. My daily practice isn't for goals, and the journal that I bring around with me from room to room does not have goals in it in any way. I have a separate place and a separate time for checking in with my goals because I don't do it every single day. I find that progress is measured over a long, extended period of time with the daily actions that we do take. And I find that for me, I'd get bored. I would get bored with journaling really quickly. And not even only that, but I'd get bored with the goals that I set. If I'm checking in on them every single day, I check in on them weekly, monthly, and definitely quarterly, at least quarterly, if anything, so that I can know the trajectory of my business and the other personal goals, of course, that I have. And to further illustrate this, I record these podcasts, not every day, but it's at least every week. And it's the actions that I take on a weekly basis, and I see the outcomes, which are monthly, and I can look back and journal about what I did, what topics I covered, what kind of thumbnails I had, all of the latter, the titles, all of that. And I can journal on those in a month and say, okay, this resulted in this much of an outcome. How can I make it better? And I prefer to make that thing a monthly thing because specifically with ADHD, it's a little bit harder not to get A, bored with your goals, and B, forget about them entirely, which is really why I stick to a monthly routine of it all. And I journal on my Notion because it's a separate place from my journal for fun/daily practice, and it's organized. And then I can look back at it next year when I'm making all of my goals over again. I also do not Dear Diary in the way that TV shows and movies show it to depict what's happening to the character on an every given day. Think Vampire Diaries, woot woot. Like, I will chronicle, of course, the big new milestones that is happening, like my first subscriber. Thank you so much. I'll rest on how that feels really and how I can keep momentum going for myself when things aren't as exciting. So how can I feel just excited about my first subscriber? And actually, when I checked this morning, I had 4. So thank you to all 4 of you. I would prefer to use that as momentum to figure out how I can feel as excited when maybe I'm at 100 subscribers and we're just hanging out and nothing's growing. I would prefer to use that instead of, Dear Diary, I woke up at 8:58 this morning without an alarm because I forgot to set my alarm. You know, Like I don't chronicle that kind of thing. That actually happened this morning. I forgot to set an alarm. It's okay. We win. And we lose. And I'm happy to say that I didn't have any morning calls this morning, and I work for myself, so I get to dictate my calendar. But yeah, by dumping and processing and discovering of thoughts, I literally mean just that. I dump all my overthought thoughts that just won't stop onto the page. And yes, overthought is a word. And I ask myself why I'm feeling them. And my pen and my mind do gravitate to a couple of them, because obviously there are many things that are thought in your mind that you can just dump onto the page. And we can't address all of them in a 20-minute or less session. Even in an hour session, you can't possibly work through them all. And the ones that I don't gravitate towards, I kind of just leave to the universe and I let it be. And if they decide to come back, then that's okay. I'll address them then. But for right now, the universe has hold of those thoughts that I'm not going to process at this moment. And I ask myself questions like, what made me have this thought? What action, what thing happened to make me have this thought? I also think about how might I move through this thought, or what can I do to process this thought in this moment? And when it's time to process, I thank myself for making my conscious mind aware of these thoughts. And then I come up with a plan. Is there an affirmation that I can say to myself before or during the next overthought thought? And can I create that or find that on the internet? Creating is fun, by the way. And is there an action that I can take to further process this? Can I bring gratitude into my next session? Can I talk it over with a therapist because therapy? Or is there a prompt that I can bring to my next journaling session for the next couple weeks that can help me process this feeling that I'm having? I want to say that this, of course, is not an exhaustive list of all the things that you can do to process these emotions or thoughts that are coming up, but it is a great starting point. All right. What can you expect from journaling? Your journaling definitely won't change your life overnight. Those things don't happen. But I'll share a little bit with you about what could possibly happen in a week. When I started journaling, I was experiencing burnout at the time, and my body was seriously betraying me. Luckily, I was able to take some time away from work. Very lucky and appreciative for that time, because I don't necessarily know if I would have been able to spend the amount of time that I did journaling and reading and being away from tech that I could at that point. And by that first week, I was able to actually notice when my episodic migraines would start to happen. Like, I started listening to my body more, and I noticed the signs so that I could be ready to jump in bed. But right before the whole left side of my body went numb, like all of it, from the middle of my face all the way down to my foot. Don't worry, the doctors that I consulted told me that it was just stress. That's another thing to go over. So within the first week, I was listening to my body's signs more, and I was less in my head, and I was able to spot when I was feeling anxious. Like, I would literally feel my anxiety go from my head down to my chest into my belly. I would feel the whole entire process. It was so wild. And I also discovered affirmations that I really enjoyed in this time frame, and then I felt like something that I could get behind instead of the reused ones on the internet. Although, don't get me wrong, some of those really do hit, and the wall that's in front of me right now is proof that they do, because I have a wall of affirmations in front of me. It didn't necessarily change my life overnight, and it won't necessarily change yours, but it might make the awareness just a little bit better. You might become a little bit more aware of the emotions in your body, because I feel like we live in our heads so much that we don't connect to our bodies. So what do you need to journal to start the journaling process altogether? Spoiler alert, folks, it's a lot less than you think. And that capitalism shows us that we need. So, all right, it's a pen and a paper and yourself. Oh my gosh. And if you don't like to write, it's a notes app in yourself. Yeah, it's not a brand new notebook. Although I think that with me as your guide, you might actually use it, but you don't need it. It's like not the perfect pen, although I do know that there are perfect pens out there, but there are also pens that are good enough for right now. I know you have one. And it's also not the perfect place, picturesque, aesthetic place. And it's not the perfect candle, but you can also light a candle that you've been lighting for the last week. It doesn't have to be perfect and it doesn't have to be just for the space. All you have to do is show up. Like what you have now is perfect, and what you have now prepares you for the fun and the more exciting stuff that happens down the line. Ultimately, your first goal when you first start is to make it something that you do on a daily basis and that you come back to and you actually want to do. So, with that, that's the end of this episode. And if it resonated with you at all, I would love for you to take a moment to comment and subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, or all the other streaming platforms. We are there. And every action that you take is greatly appreciated from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate it so much. And yeah, until next time, let's become abundantly aware together. All right, bye for now.